call you the periscope man.
So it's Periscope and Facebook Live. So streaming both of them, inshallah. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. We'd like to begin by welcoming everyone to today's seminar, Acting Single While Being Married. And if you can hear my voice in the building, don't act like you are not part of the Jama'ah, because then you may be acting single while being part of the Jama'ah. So if you hear me, come on in the Musalla. We're getting ready to start the program. We have a very dynamic panel, and without any further ado, I'm going to let Imam Shadid introduce our first speaker, Sister Iesha Prime, who needs no introduction, but I just want to say it's now prime time, so without further ado, we're going to ask Imam Shadid to sort of act as the MC, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let me try that again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I want all of my barakah. Don't deny me my haqq, right? Don't deny me my barakah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa salatu wa salam ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Alhamdulillah, they say the early bird gets the worm. Alhamdulillah, those of you who are here and those of you who are online, tuned in, Iesha Prime, who needs no introduction, will unfortunately not be with us for the duration of the day. All right, she had previous engagement, but she was generous enough to squeeze us in. And so for those of you who are here, you're gonna benefit from that. For those of you who are on Negro time and you're gonna get here an hour late, guess what? Sorry, you missed her. This is, why it's important for us in our religion to, adhere to, the importance of time. It's very important. So alhamdulillah, without, belaboring the issue, inshallah ta'ala, her topic today is going to be on maintaining our marriages. As we know, we are having, a marriage crisis with a lot of the marriages and the divorces in our communities. And we are actually bold enough as a community to stand up and address it, as opposed to allowing it to continue unaddressed and just fragmenting our communities and our families even further. And, alhamdulillah, I think that, the fact that you guys are here in support of this event and the speakers who, responded when they were called upon to address the issues that they responded, that shows that we are tired of what is happening in our communities with respect to marriage and divorce, and we are taking a stand to do something about it. And the first thing that we're doing to do something about it is to acknowledge that it's a problem, right? The scholars of Islam, they say, ma'rifatul illa nisful ilaj. Recognizing that there's a problem is half of your cure. And that is what we are here to do today, inshallah ta'ala. And as you know, she don't hold any punches. We got some other dynamic speakers that are not gonna hold any punches. So if you are a type of person that getting your feelings real easy, then you might want to watch from home and not sit in this space. So without further ado, inshallah ta'ala, Sister Iesha Prime, jazakumullahu khairan.
اللهم بارك فيك جزاكم الله خير إمام شديد Remember, dear, this is without a doubt truly, truly, truly an honor. I'm honored to be back in this building. I'm honored to be a part of this family. I'm honored to be amongst you. I thank you so much for the opportunity. I thank you for the opportunity. And may Allah Ta'ala forever bless you and the organizers and those who assisted in this gathering, because this is a much needed topic. It's a much, much needed topic, especially in our community. It's needed around the world, but it's a much needed topic. So, of course, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, we're here by the intention to expose ourselves to the mercy and the power and the transformation of Allah. We're here by the intention to expose our hearts to Allah's change. We're here by the intention to mold that Allah Ta'ala will give us the look of the nazar of mercy, that He will look upon us with mercy, and that He will find us to be in remembrance of Him, and that Allah Ta'ala will cause us to connect to Him in a manner that is most pleasing to Him. We're here by the intention to save ourselves and our families from the hellfire. We're here by the intention that we can strengthen the ummah of the beloved Messenger of Allah, salatullah wa salamu alayhi. We're here by the intention that we can hold fast to our deen, and that we can invite our children into this deen in the best way. We're here by the intention to establish this deen in our hearts, in our families, in our households, in our communities, in America and at large and abroad, as far and as wide as Allah Ta'ala will allow us. We're here by the intention to be absolute servants of Allah. Allahumma ameen. When I first heard the topic, when I looked at the flyer, I said, oh Allah. I said to myself, this is one of the most hood topics ever. And I said, and yet, it is one of the most relevant topics ever. Now you might get on me for that. But the truth of it is, even as because anytime I go out to speak, I always consult other scholars, I talk to them. What are your ideas? What are your thoughts about this? Let's see this from a circumspect. In all honesty, I always try to speak also to my brother scholars, because I recognize the limitedness of my scope and the fact that I'm female. So many times I may only see it from one side. But I said, I love it, because Philly is coming with it. Right? Alhamdulillah, that Philly is actually coming with topics that are relevant to their community, and they're trying to bring about solutions to problems that they know they're facing. And as I begin to speak with other scholars and other teachers about it, I begin to recognize the vastness of it. And then the enormous responsibility, and I said, oh wow, we won't finish this today. We won't, we'll do what Imam Shadid said, in the fact that we will just identify some problems, and then we'll have to come back and identify some solutions, and then we'll be working on implementing the strategies, right, for the rest of our days. But at least I want to begin to talk about, I want to talk about marriage first, because my topic is called maintaining marriage. And subhanAllah, inside of understanding marriage to begin with, there are two things I want us to think about. I want us to first start with the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he said that marriage is half your deen. We say that often, right? We quote it. We quote it often in terms of marriage is half your deen, marriage is half your deen, marriage is half your deen. But what I want to kind of get into a little bit about, what does that mean? Because when we talk about what is our deen, we have to go back to the hadith of Jibreel alayhi salam, where he began to describe, Ya Rasulullah, what is Islam? Ya Rasulullah, what is Iman? What is Ihsan? And he gave these answers. So in the first one, he gives us the definitions of Iman, right? He gives us the definition that would encompass what is our aqidah. How must we have, what must our mind be? And then in the second aspect, he gives us what is Islam, and this is what must our body do in order to be a witness and an actual witness to say that for sure I believe that. I have these actions, that's proof that I believe this. Right? And then the next step is, what is ihsan? Right? What is it saying? Worship Allah, seeing Him, though you see Him not, know that He sees you. Which is an internal condition. Right? Which is to worship Allah Ta'ala with our souls. With our heart and our soul. This is, so when we look at marriage, and then at the end of this hadith, we know that Jibreel alayhi salam, he leaves and the Prophet tells Umar, go after him, he doesn't find him. He says, do you know who that was? Says, Allah, this messenger know best. This was Jibreel coming to teach you your deen. Right? So why is that important? The last statement is extremely important because when we talk about that this is your deen is the Islam and the Iman and the Ihsan. It is the science that governs the mind, the body, and the soul. So when we begin to talk about that marriage is half your deen, marriage, you must have the right mind. And then there are certain actions that you must do, but you must bring your heart and your soul to it. And all of those things that you did in order to maintain the first part of your deen, you're going to need to bring all of them to this second part of your deen. Why do I say that? Because many times we somehow have an understanding that marriage is a business contract. It's a contract based on some things that you must do and I must do, and some rights you must give me and some rights I must give you, and basically it's to meet my physical needs, and we're straight, we can check the box. But it doesn't add up when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said marriage is half your deen. Right? And so the first thing we need to recognize is, what is deen? Deen is the debt. Literally, if we give the literal definition, deen would be the debt that we owe to Allah Ta'ala, which we would never finish paying. So if we recognize that first, that without a doubt, marriage is an act of worship. It's an act of service that we give to Allah Ta'ala. So if we first recognize this, that I'm doing this out of not just to please Allah, but I'm doing this as a commandment from Allah and as a sunnah of His Messenger, salatullah wa salamu alayhi. Then what's the mind I must have about it? Right? I must have the same mind about marriage that I have about the first part of my deen. So if I constantly say to you, if I constantly were to say to Allah, Allah, this salah is a struggle. This fasting is a test. This being truthful and not being hypocritical, that's a test. Or any other aspect of the deen that I'm called to. But yet when we begin to describe marriage, we say, I cannot tell you countless times women begin the conversation, marriage is a test. Marriage is a struggle. Right? And so what that says to me is, first, we didn't have the first understanding about it. We didn't come to it with the right mind. Because out of adab to Allah, out of good mannerisms to Allah, Ya Rabbi, you have called me to this, and this is the example of your Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. How different would our marriages be if I said marriage is a gift? So I want to, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. So that's the first aspect. Then I want to talk about a practical aspect of it. Marriage is the partnership of self-transformation. Marriage is the partnership of self-transformation. Why? Because we're going to stand in front of Allah Ta'ala alone. And even when our spouse comes to us on Yawm al-Qiyamah, we will say to them, this day I don't know you. This day I don't know you. Nafsi, nafsi, just me. I'm just concerned with myself. Now, subhanAllah, that's what, because you know, this day I'm standing in front of Allah Ta'ala and I'm going to answer for all the deeds. Everything I've done, I've been thinking, the thoughts I've been entertaining, day. So if I were to approach marriage knowing that this is that this agreement that we have, what we're doing, that this is a matter of the transformation of my soul, and I must get it right. I must get it right, not just for you, but for me, for Allah. Allah doesn't need your marriage. So understand what I'm saying when I say for Allah. Allah doesn't need your marriage. You need your marriage so that you can go to Jannah. You need your marriage so you can be near and close to Allah. Right? And then subhanAllah, Allah gives us some gifts. He gives us what Allahu Akbar. We're all familiar with the ayat, and I try not to do this because my side is Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Mawlana Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتسكنوا إليها وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة إن في ذلك آيات لقوم يتفكرون. That Allah says, we're all familiar with this ayat in Surah Al-Rum, where Allah says that Allah has put love and mercy, right? I'm going to give you the exact one. And one of His signs is that He has created for you spouses from amongst yourselves, so that you may take comfort in them, and that He has placed between you love and mercy. In this, surely there is evidence of truth for the people who carefully think. So, subhanAllah, what's so beautiful about it is Allah saying, I have given you spouses. This is a gift from me. I have put love and mercy between you. That is a gift from me. Right? Hopefully, inshallah, you will find sakina, you will find mawadda, mercy. You will find some comfort in them. This is a gift from Allah Ta'ala. Why? To help you along the journey. Right? Just to help you along the way. But first we have to understand what it is. And Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. This is a topic, I have to be honest with you, that I generally say, this takes so much time. I'm like, usually I'm like, don't let me talk about marriage. Even though it's needed. Right? Even though it's needed, subhanAllah, because it's so much. It requires so much. And so much is dependent upon it. So I want to make sure, since I'm the beginning, I want to lay the foundation. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Hunna libasun lakum wa antum libasun lihunna." That they are a garment for you, and you are a covering. You are a garment. You are a covering for them. So when we get into this concept of they are a garment for you and you are a garment for them, first we begin to recognize that one, you're some level of protection for me against the elements. Meaning I should find in my marriage some protection against the outside realm. There should be some, and that is multiple. That comes on. So if we talk about marriage being half your deen is mind, body, and soul, right? Then I should have some mental protection away from the outside world. What does that mean? That means when I go out here, right? These women should not be able to have this entertainment of my mind. They shouldn't be able to say something that he would be able to say, wow, man, I like the way she thinks. I like the fact that she thinks. It shouldn't be a chink in his armor that there's no one entertaining his mind. It shouldn't be when he goes out there, he's weak to the elements, that when an intelligent woman engages him, right? It should be, that's my wife and I talk about that on a regular basis. We engage in these conversations. What my wife is saying. And vice versa. Right? First of all, there's a problem with that altogether. But we'll get there. There's a problem with why there's somebody in your ear chirping altogether. Right? So, but for women, there is a problem if she's out there and she says, wow, mashallah, that brother, he's practicing in his deen. MashaAllah, the way he, the way he challenges my mind, or MashaAllah, the things he talks about, or even, subhanAllah, he engages me about the smaller matters of life. And this is real, because sometimes we have two types of extremes. We have one type of marriage where there's no intellectual nothing, right? We can't discuss what is the significance of Dick Gregory passing away in the world yesterday, right? We can't have those type of conversations. We can't talk about some of the basics of white, well, that would be a higher topic maybe. We even just engaging in certain things. Well, even talking about the children's education and how we're going to properly nurture them and what is the plan for that. Right? Sometimes we're not engaging in that. Then we have the other extreme. We have marriages where one or the other, they're only talking about aspects of the deen, and they're only concerned with matters of the deen, and there is no everyday nurturing of the mind. Right? We're talking about the high science, the high Islamic sciences. Right? And she's like, okay, that's wonderful, bro. But I need to talk to you about what are we going to do for Muhammad in his, this and this and this and this. Because that's part of it too. Why? Because if not, then either she or he is left in a situation where there's some aspect of their mind that's not being addressed, which leaves a big gaping hole. It's like, I can't talk to my husband about that. He's not interested in that. Right? And if I'm interested in it, sometimes there's an insult. Woman, you small-minded. Even though, subhanAllah, when we know from the Shama'il and Tirmidhi that the Prophet ﷺ was known that when he was with the people, if they were talking about higher matters, he would talk about that. And if they were talking about everyday matters, he would talk about that. That both of them are significant in order to maintain the whole human being. We talk about high religious matters. We also talk about, the nutrition of the children, or, some of the other. We have to talk about all of it. Some halal entertainment. Then when it comes to physical, because this is, in that scenario, there are many people who they're married, but they're actually single. So they're acting, so what happens is, eventually over time, months and years of that, they actually feel like, and they will say, I'm married, but I'm really alone. Right? I'm married, but I'm actually not married. And part of that is because we didn't actually know what marriage was, the definition of marriage to begin with. We looked at marriage as the nikah, and that was it. Right? And we made a business contract, what I'm going to have in my contract, and what he's going to do for me, and that's it. And what she's going to do for me, and that's it. Right? And so because we didn't have a full understanding about the institution, or what was the definition of being married, of coming together, what did it mean when Allah Ta'ala khalaqa al-insan min nafsin wahida? I created you from one essence. Then you scattered men and women. Right? So for us to come back together is oneness. This is about being a witness of Tawheed. Right? Yet we have people who are feeling splintered and cut in all sorts of ways. So then also, Jazakumullah khair. Okay, I know. God, this is a lot of time. This is a big topic. I like this much time. Alhamdulillah, that brother's taking care of me because he knows I got a prayer for it. The other aspect is this. We have, and I'm going to talk about our physical needs. Right? That we have brothers, right, who are like, I'm married, but my wife is a nun. We Muslim, but my wife is a nun. Why? Because I ain't getting none. Right? Why is that? And sadly, vice versa. MashaAllah, my husband might as well be a priest. Because I ain't getting that either. I know that's, kind of crass, but that's real. Right? I know women, subhanAllah, that have said, come to me for counseling. That says, Sister Iesha, it's been 6 months. It's been a year. I'm like, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. I'm not playing with you. That plays on people's mental health. Right? This is, I mean, just from a biological standpoint, that is something that is very necessary. I think many times, and I'm not beating up on you, but many times brothers may think they have needs, and it's true, sisters, they do have needs. Right? Every 72 hours. I don't mean to get crass, but I need to keep it real. Every 72 hours, there's a portion of their body that fills up, right? And it needs a release. And if you're not giving it, if you're not providing that release, right? Eventually, he's struggling because he has to get that release, and vice versa. Women also need it, but they need it for different reasons. And we have to recognize that women also need that affection. And women are different. There's a reason why Rasulullah said, don't go to your wife like a she-camel. Right? There's a reason why, there's some lessons you learn from the street that you got to take home. There are. So before, when you was bringing flowers, and you had sweet night, you all know this. This isn't, but the thing is, you have to maintain that. Why? Because she actually needs it. Because if you're lucky, if you're blessed, she's not a hoe. So you just can't come to me and I don't even know you, bro. Like, we don't talk, we don't hang out, you don't engage my mind, you don't have anything sweet, Now, when it comes to that time, now that's my right. She has rights. We all got rights. Right? And this is why Allah says you are the maintainers and protectors of women. The protecting of her is a protection for her mental health, a maintenance for her spiritual health. And I'm telling you, we talk about that Islam is not oppressive, but when we don't have that mental engagement, we don't have a spiritual engagement, and then we try to come together for physical engagement, and let's not talk about if she's not being fulfilled. Rasulullah said, actually, it will be better for your wife to orgasm before you. So if she's not experiencing that, trust me, she's at some point in the game. She's feeling used. I don't know if I was supposed to talk about all that. I'm not sure I was supposed to talk about it. Right? But she's feeling used, she's feeling empty, she's feeling hurt. And then she's going to say, well, if this is what the deen, because according to you, right, this is what the deen of Islam is. You got to give me my rights. So then that begins to play on her iman. Why is that such a serious matter? Because eventually, she's not even entertained into what you're talking about. Now she's listening to Imam such and such. Right? Now she's listening to, and some of the brothers will get upset. Like, why are you always listening to him? Every time I turn around, you got him on YouTube. He in your ear. And be careful about that too. Right? Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. There are some, okay. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam reminded us that Shaitan has given up on trying to take us away from our deen in large matters, in major matters. So he comes to the believers in smaller matters. So what he does is he chips away He chips away at our understanding. He chips away at our relationships. He chips away at our communication. So I want to talk about that because we got a real short time. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. The first thing is that, again, this is an African American community. This is a black community. And if you're not black, you're black today. And so, because this is who we're dealing with, right? We have to understand that we need Imam Shadid, we need the scholars of our time, we need the Imam Amin, we need those who went and studied to come back and give us what's called fiqh al-waqiyah. We need fiqh for our time. We need fiqh for our situation. Because it's true, as African Americans, you are in a very unique situation. And reading books I'm going to be honest with you, you're about to be super mad. Super mad, but that's okay, because I love you. Right? Reading books that come from an Arab and a Pakistani mind, the ideal Muslimah and the ideal husband, that ain't for you. I know y'all mad about that. It doesn't address your situation. Especially when we're talking about when there's, women must be maintained in a way. And hear what I'm saying, because women must be maintained. Hear what I'm saying. But because they can't take care of themselves, black man, you ain't got that problem. You got a woman capable. She know how to take care of herself. Right? So if you're just saying, I'm bringing home financially, I'm bringing home this financially, or I'm doing that financially, that's not going to cut it. It's not, Allah. There we go. Is that right? Okay. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Let me look at the time. Okay. Thank you. And because we are currently in a situation, we are deeply suffering from post-traumatic slave syndrome. And we must work very hard to get back to our original mind. Women, you cannot say to your man, man up. You can't do that. If you beat him up in your mouth, you're going to have a broke down man, and then you're going to be mad that you don't have a man. And when he finds that woman, you're going to be mad at him now. You're going to be real mad. Don't be mad. I love you. When he finds that woman, that Moroccan woman, it don't matter what she said. It don't matter what he said. She's smiling because he don't even truly understand. And why did he get her? Why? Why did he get her? Because you talk too much. Right? I don't know. Because you're eating at it like, that's nerve. They can't take that. That's literally, it's like something like literally eating at them. Especially if you're breaking down his ego in the process. Now, I understand the ego is worse than 70 devils. But if you leave this man, this black man, without some ego, he won't be able to be the man you need him to be. He won't have that confidence. He won't be able to stand up in this society that's constantly against him. He won't be able to stand up and wear his stove and as a Muslim and go out there and get it. He won't be able to run that business. Why? Because he got this voice in the back of his head telling him he ain't nothing. That he a punk, ... Where you found that in Hadith? What deen you found that in? Because in our deen it says that the Muslim is safe from the tongue and the hand of another Muslim. So that's our tongue. Now the Muslim is safe from the hand of another Muslim. But, subhanallah, bihamdik, subhanallah. All right, I got 10 minutes. That's big old topic. Big topic. I want to leave you with something. In being able to maintain our marriages, there are a couple things I want to say. The first thing is, I want you to give up the concept of you're going to give me my rights. I know you say, what? Those are my rights. Hear me, I'm not finished. I want you to be more concerned. Can you hear me? I want you to be more concerned with how you're going to give rights. And more, instead of women reading the books on rights of women, I want you to read the books on the rights of men. And I want you to be more concerned about how you're going to give him his rights. And brothers, I don't want you to read the books on the rights of men. I want you to be more concerned for how are you going to give her her rights. And I want you to recognize that all of us fall short. Because if Allah Ta'ala were to demand our right, if Allah Ta'ala were to demand his rights from us, we would all be found wanting in a lot of trouble. So in order to not commit dhulm, to not commit oppression against each other, we have to begin to stop demanding, period. And then we have to be able to look at each other with the intention for how am I going to serve you? How am I going to transform my own soul through you? Another aspect is, I know that we have to get training. We were trained in everything else. Some of these women, mashallah. Some of these women and some of these brothers, y'all got PhDs. You went to 12 years of high school. They taught you how to read, how to write, how to do math. Then you went to college. Some of you went on to get further degrees than that. But we actually didn't sit and learn how to be married. We didn't get training on that. So therefore, in many cases, we don't have the best examples of it. Many of us, as a community, we have examples of a bunch of broken marriages or marriages that are falling apart or unhappy or unfulfilled. So as a result, we didn't get any training, and we're looking at people who were untrained, and so we just keep recycling this. So we need to take from the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that says wisdom is the lost property of the believer. Wherever you find it, take it. If we don't, we need to build that. Inshallah, Brother Shadid, Imam Nuruddin, we need to build more and more in classes and workshops on how to be married. And guess what? It's an ongoing process. It's not like I took that class one time, right, and I'm good at it. If we were to all take a math test right now, right? Most of us, because we didn't study it for a long time. We might just be, when your kids come home, by the time they hit like middle school, you're like, I don't know, I'm gonna get you a tutor. It's gonna help you out. Right? Even why? Because that stuff it's dust. You did it to pass the class and that's it. But in the case of marriage, you need to pass for the transformation of your soul. You need to pass for Jannah. So therefore, we have to be in ongoing classes. Another thing is, we have deep psychological issues. We have deep trauma. You cannot be black in America and not have trauma. You cannot turn on the news and watch Black Child after. You cannot watch the Trayvon Martin and the Alton Sterling and the Philando Castile and killing after killing after killing of our black men and children and not be traumatized. It's affecting us. We cannot, just being in our circumstances and our situation, the marriages and divorces and the rape and the physical abuse and the verbal abuse that has happened in our community, especially in the drug abuse and the cycles that we talked about this in one session I was here, the cycles that have existed in our community. We cannot continue to live through that and think we don't have trauma. So then we got the nikah, we came into the marriage with those issues. Now, how are we going to maintain? How are we going to maintain our marriage? How are we going to fix it? Number one, recognize that you are an imperfect person, married to an imperfect person, in an imperfect marriage, in an imperfect society. Get humble. Get humble and get real. Get real. If you're thinking that he is about to be if you're thinking that today, I'm not saying we won't be. I'm not saying we won't be. But if you're thinking today that you're coming home to Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu, get real. And if you're thinking that you're coming home to Fatima Zahra, Khadija al-Kubra, get real. Why? Because you're not the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Because we're learning from this deen. Because we're learning, because we're students, and because at the same time we're working through some stuff. I adhere to this deen. I'm practicing it. I'm working on it. Now, how are you going to work on it? You need some therapy. I know you don't like it. I know you say, I ain't going to listen to him. That man put on his pants the same way I put on my pants. Right? I ain't going to listen to him. SubhanAllah, we all need help. And if we had a different community, if we had different circumstances, that would be different. But the reality of it is we have some psychological trauma that we need to get healed. Many of us, men and women, come into a situation having been abused. So without recognizing it, we come into marriages with a victim mentality. And some of us were witnesses of abuse, so we come into the marriage as an abuser. And many times, just by the vibrations, they have a physical term, like the electromagnetic waves, we actually sometimes, the abused, the victim, will actually be attracted to the abuser. Why? Because that's what I know. It's the energy I recognize. Not even in a very subconscious level. So what you gonna do? You gonna get married to him? Y'all gonna get in an argument? Something happens, it goes, either you knocked her upside her head, or she knocked you upside your head, or you were an abuse. And I know you were. I'm talking to you too. You were abusive with your mouth. You were verbally, psychologically abusive, emotionally abusive, right? Because that happens both ways. We don't necessarily always have the physical, stance over them, but that doesn't mean that we're not abusive. Right? Sometimes we're very abusive. And vice versa. Maybe you say, well, I'm not beating her. I actually hear people say that. When they come to divorce counseling, like, well, I'm not beating her. I don't know what the problem is. I'm like, so I don't know. When did that become the standard? Right? But that doesn't mean that there are not other forms of abuse that are happening. We need to know, we need the counseling and the ongoing training to uproot some of that sickness and begin to get healed. And you're not going to find that just attending the Jummah khutbah on Friday. This requires some hard work. This requires some deep uprooting. Jazakumullah khair. This requires some hard work and some serious commitment, and not just for your spouse, for your relationship with Allah Ta'ala, so that you can be a better human being. If you have any intention of following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, then if you say, I'm going to build his ummah, we can start with our own families by making sure that we're healed. Now, what does that require? That requires some deep patience from each other. Some deep patience and some hard work from each other. That means we're going together, because we're not always comfortable in those situations. We're not always comfortable being uncomfortable. So many times we're going to be sitting in counseling sessions together, because I'm not comfortable going alone. alone, so you're going to go with him. And you're going to help him work that out. And you're going to recognize what are his limits, what are the boundaries. And when he says stop, right? When he says stop, I've reached my limit, you're going to stop. You can say, no, you're going to listen to me. We're going to have this conversation. No. We're going to recognize the boundaries. We're going to recognize what we're dealing with. And we're going to stop. And when she said, you're hurting me. This is painful. I need you to stop. I need you to calm down. You're going to stop. We need to learn some new people skills. How many of you trained in conflict resolution? Anybody here super trained in conflict resolution? Raise your hand if you're trained in conflict resolution. MashaAllah, one person. But I bet most of you are married. We need some training. We should attend some classes on conflict resolution. Why? Because there's some conflict that happens inside families. We need that skill. We need some anger management. We need to take some parenting classes. And we have to be willing to we have to be humble and get real and recognize I don't have those skills. I didn't learn those skills. I wasn't trained on them. So I'm going right down here to the community center. I'm going right down here, and wherever it is I need to get those classes, I'm going to get them. I'm going to put my deed with it, and I'm going to apply it. And if we're not willing to do that kind of work, then we're not willing to be married. We're just willing to have nikah and to have sex. And when I'm done with you and this is over and I'm sick of your mouth and you have worn out and you're not as good as you don't look as good as you used to, and you don't smell as good as you used to, then we're done. And on to the next one. But our children are watching. And our children are suffering. And we're suffering. So we need to get those skills. And stop being boyfriend and girlfriend. Halal boyfriend, halal girlfriend. And get married. Get married. That's a process of self-transformation. Getting married is a mind, body, and soul. It's a mind, body, and soul commitment to Allah. Jazakumullah khairan. Allahumma barik feekum. Assalamu alaikum. Were there any questions? Because I won't be here later to take any questions. Were there any questions that I can answer for you?
This is group therapy, so ass up.
Sister Iesha will not be here later on when we do the panel discussion. So if you have any questions that you would like to ask her now, while she has a few moments left before she goes, you can ask your question now.
Yes. So as it relates to, I do highly recommend Muslim therapists. Alhamdulillah, we have a lot of Muslim professionals who do it, right? Even sometimes they're willing to do sessions even via Skype or on an online media if they're not in your immediate area. So I do highly recommend Muslim therapists. However, when it comes to other skills, like for example conflict resolution or parenting or even marriage workshops, if it's being offered, mashallah, by a professional Muslim who knows what they're doing, who is skilled in that, then yes, I agree, I advise you to attend. However, it is something just like when you needed to know, you went to college for other things and every professor wasn't Muslim, right? So it's a skill you need to acquire. You're an electrician, you need to learn electricity. You didn't say, well, I ain't going to no kuffar electrician to learn how to do no electricity. Right? That sounds ridiculous. So the same thing, when it comes to other skills that we need, that we have to learn, get it. And yes, of course, apply your Islam. Right? Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else? And I recommend it be from your cultural background when it comes to therapy.
What does a woman do or man when they realize that they're married to the wrong person? Or how do you recognize that you're married?
Allah. Imam Iesha did ask me some strong questions, right about it. He said, what do you do when you recognize that you're married to the wrong person? And how do you recognize that you're married to the wrong person? Let me say this. The first thing is, you need to make sure that your discernment is sound. How do you make sure your discernment is sound? Your relationship with Allah Ta'ala is sound. The most basic of it is that your 5 salawat are firm. Right? And I do recommend that you have, and it's not like I'm missing some salah here and there. Why? Because when you're missing your salah, right, salah is literally connected to your ability to discern between what is good and what is evil, what is right and what is wrong. So many times we have marriage problems that you ask people, how was your salah? Are there holes you have? Is it like Swiss cheese? Is your salah, is it holes? I'm missing some salah here and there. Why? Because you're going to be missing some logic here and there. So it's important, number one, that that's sound. And I highly recommend that your religious affairs are in order. And you have those religious affairs in order for at least 3 months, consistently. Right? So that's one thing. The other thing is, have you exhausted all of your resources? Meaning you have done everything. And you did not just you went to the therapist. This is important because I know a lot of people that go to the therapist and they're waiting for the Muslim therapist to fix them. Right? You're gonna hook me up, you're gonna give me some IV, you're gonna change me. No. Right? And you don't bring them saying, I brought you him, fix my Negro. No. Right? And you don't bring her there to fix her. Something wrong with her, fix her. We recognize we chose each other. So in recognizing that choice, we can both benefit. So the first thing is you have exhausted everything. You have talked to Allah Ta'ala. You have talked to, and I'm not talking about your girlfriends and whoever. If you talk to someone in authority who has the ability to truly assist you. And you have done everything in your power to communicate humbly and real. Ego aside. And in those communications, there are some guidelines, and I don't have all of them, but the couple things I want, there's no profanity in your communication. You are really open and real. Like, you have to always go down. If you say, this is the problem, well, why is that the problem? Go down. And why do you feel that way? Go down, 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 down. Right? Instead of saying, well, you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't do this, that's a tactic. No one's going to listen. So you have to begin to say, I feel that when you don't travel with me, or I feel when you don't do this for me, or I feel when you don't assist me, I feel abandoned and neglected and that you don't care about me. Both sides. Gotta get humble and get real. Then, if that person is still like, it's just not, you've really exhausted, and I'm talking about a long time. I'm not talking about 3-4 months. I'm talking about you've really worked. And you went and they gave you tools and you applied those tools. You applied them for at least 3 months. Then it's like it's not working. Or your life is in danger. If your life is in danger, get out. That's the bottom line. Right? If you have collapsed, you've accepted this is not the right person, then you need to be about your business of healing and making a plan, an active plan to get out.
Well, you might as well just stay, miss your flight.
Right, no.
And let us just book you another flight.
If I didn't have to be there for Fajr in the morning.
Is that an option? Can we book you
I'd have to be at Fajr in the morning. My class is at Fajr, 5:30 a.m. I wish. It was the last flight of the night.
Well, I tried.
No. Is that good?
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you, give you a safe journey.
Ameen.
We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala place barakah in your life, in the life of your family, and in your knowledge, and in your growth and development, and in your ability to help us grow and develop as a community. We are in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's barakah. If you guys have not figured it out yet, then maybe you will very soon, that no one cares about our communities but us. Everyone sits on the outside and dictates to the African American community what they should be doing, what they're not doing, how sinful they are, and how this, but nobody is willing to come and live amongst us and show us how it's done. Show us how it's done. And until that happens, you can't sit from a place of privilege and dictate to us what we're doing is wrong or what we're doing is right under the guise of giving nasiha. The Prophet ﷺ lived amongst his people.
You have to know the
Even
Lord.
when he migrated to Medina, he said, "Oh Allah, you know that Mecca is more beloved to me than being in Medina." But he stayed in Medina. His heart was connected to Mecca. But he stayed in Medina because he had a mission. And that was to be the example, to be the role model, to show the first Muslim community how Islam is practiced. So if you want to sit from a place of privilege and say, you guys need to do this, or you guys need to, why don't you come and show us, genius, how it's done? Why don't you come and live amongst us and share our ills, share our joys, share our passions, share our communities with us, and then show us how it's done. Until that happens, we are responsible for our own. We are responsible for our communities. There's nothing nationalistic about this. It's like, why is it that every other culture in Islam, in America, can concern themselves with their communities, and the moment we do it, you're a nationalist. You guys are racist. It's almost like the black athletes. We'll sign you the contract for $3.4 million for 6 years, but you don't spend a dime on your people. You go do a charity thing in Africa. Why are you going in Africa to open up a school in Africa? Oprah open up a school in Africa, and you from Chicago.
Right.
You understand? Because you are not allowed to aid your people. You can help everybody else, but these people right here, you leave them in their dysfunction. And I'm sorry if that's what qualifies a person as a nationalist because they care about their people, right? Then so be it. I guess I'm a nationalist.
Me too.
According to you, you know what I mean? Right. So, alhamdulillah, we're trying to fix the problem. There's some problems that have been going on for a long time in our communities, and Muslim professionals, as well as students of knowledge, as well as if you guys haven't been paying attention, things are changing. Whether you like it or not, things are changing, and you got to learn how to move with change with change. Because if you remain the same, guess what's going to happen? Change is going to pass you by, and you're still going to be stuck at zero while everybody is moving. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He will not change the condition of a people until at first they do what? That's what we're doing right now. We're trying to change our condition so that we can get the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And with that, inshallah ta'ala, we'll break for Salatul Asr. And then after Salatul Asr, we have Sister Zara J, who's going to come on and do a presentation about how to navigate matrimonial sites. How many of you are on matrimonial sites? Or have been on there? I know it's embarrassing, it's cool. But the fact of the matter is that you need to understand that there's some predators out there. Okay? And this is someone who is skilled in that. And she is going to explain to you the dangers in that and how to navigate these matrimonial sites, inshallah ta'ala, in a safe manner, in a halal manner, in a healthy manner, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. All right, so we'll break for the salah, and then after the salah, we'll continue with the program, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Please give Sister Iesha salam as you guys leave. If we can hold her as long as we can, she missed her flight.
No, that's what you're doing to me.
We'll try to pick up that. Assalamu alaikum.
Mama Betty, forgive me. Mama Betty, forgive me so much.
Alaikum salam. How you doing, Sheikh?
I do.